I'm on the outskirts of Escondido, California, in the Elfin Forest Recreational Reserve. Now, from the name of it, you might expect an army of diminutive people with peaked hats and pointy toes to come marching out of the hills, but actually this elfin forest is something entirely different. Elfin forest refers to the shrublands that blanket the hillsides behind me. Now, another name for elfin forest is chaparral, and chaparral is California's most extensive wildland. Here, plants live on a knife edge. They've evolved to survive with minimal moisture, in thin soils, and sometimes in extreme wind. Yet not all chaparral are the same. Few of us are familiar with the plants that call chaparral home. Today we're going to explore the chaparral from desert to coast and learn why it's critical for our survival. I'm Nan Sterman. Welcome to A Growing Passion. It's October. Chaparral expert Rick Halsey and I have traveled to the San Felipe Valley near Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. Here, desert vegetation transitions to desert chaparral. Chaparral shrubs dot the boulder-strewn landscape. Beautiful morning.
That's a scrub oak.
Which one?
Back there.
Look at all the lichens on the rocks.
There's lichens.
And the buckwheats in bloom?
Buckwheats everywhere. There's cholla, jumping cholla. Just be careful.
It's hot and dry here, with rainfall mostly in winter and the occasional late summer monsoon. That makes for a distinct plant palette that survives on few resources.
So this is white sage. We have a dead portion here and a living portion here. There's some buckwheat in here, but what's really interesting is the architecture of the dead stuff, and in my eyes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree, it's beautiful.
But this is an essential part of the desert ecosystem because this dead wood provides substrate for lichens to hang on to, and there's all sorts of interesting habitats that occur in there.
Starting to get kind of warm, huh?
Yeah.
One of the scrub oaks, right?
Oh yeah, oh this is a great story. You see the leaves?
Yeah.
Really tiny. They're all pointed sort of upward.
Yeah.
But the issue is here, very, very tiny leaves.
Right, so so they can survive the little bit of water.
Right. Here, the scrub oaks are very promiscuous. They interbreed all the time, so it's virtually impossible to really narrow down what exact species these are sometimes because they have characteristics that go back and forth.
Well, let's see if we can find another one.
Okay.
Ooh, harvester ants.
Oh, I love these. They're the favorite food of the horned lizard.
Oh, too bad there's not one around. We could just see it come in. Its little tongue getting in,
we
right?
stick around here long enough, they might show up. What's interesting about the horned lizard, they really depend on these creatures, and the closer you get to habitation, human habitation,
yeah,
the more frequent you see the Argentine ants, which are the tiny ones that come in your kitchen, and they'll attack an ant nest like this and eventually decimate it, reducing the potential food for the horned lizards, which is why one of the reasons we're concerned about those little creatures.
They're really busy. Look at that.
Yeah.
Rick, when we were coming up over the grade this morning, that was the Salton Sea I saw, right?
Right.
So what elevation do you think we're at?
We're about 4,000 feet, I think.
Wow. Hey, is that one of those other oaks you were talking about?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Look how big the leaves are. I'm really surprised to see that.
Yeah, very different than the other one we saw.
What is this one?
This is Quercus cornelius mulleri. It's named after Neil Muller. He's a really famous oak taxonomist, actually.
You know, this is the first time we're stepping on leaves. There's like duff accumulated here.
Well, so the story here is this oak has got to be here for decades in order for it to accumulate enough leaf litter. And the reason that's important is because the leaf litter holds the water, and the water then provides the moisture for acorns to germinate.
So the oak is making its own nursery.
Right. So this plant basically has to be 60, 70 years old before it ever creates the environment where it can regenerate through seed.
That is really interesting. Hey, can we go see if we can find the oak that's kind of in between
Well, we can
these
give it
two?
a shot.
All this stuff that looks dead, but I bet this is habitat for someone, isn't it?
Lots of habitat. Oh, look, here's one of those intermediary
This one?
species, right?
The oaks, you mean?
Yeah, so you take a look at it. You've got the leaf that's really long, very spiky. So this is almost a halfway point between the original oak we saw earlier.
The little tiny leaf one.
And the Quercus cornelius mulleri.
So that was the round leaves.
Right. So oaks are very promiscuous, and this is just what happens. They interbreed, and it's virtually impossible sometimes to tell you what species this is because it's a cross between two.
It really shows you that everything's in the details too, huh?
Yes, exactly.
I love looking at those different oaks. They're really characteristic of all the chaparral habitats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other plants here, I know we saw the buckwheat and the white sage.
Right.
What else is there here that's really typical of chaparral?
Well, besides the scrub oak, the most characteristic shrub out here is a sugar bush. And then you get the characteristic desert plants like the yucca and the cholla. However, those filter into the coast too. They're different species, but they're still there.
And we didn't see any manzanita.
No, the manzanitas should or could be here. You don't really know why plants are sometimes distributed where they are. And that's one of the mysteries in nature. I mean, it could be a soil thing, a local climatic condition, animal distribution, and it's a time issue too. So you just don't know whether it's a random event or there's something going on that you can't distinguish in the environment as far as why plants are where they are.
Then there's lots of little yellow things that are little yellow plants blooming.
Right, there's matchweed here, and there's some little smaller yellow flowers that are coming up from the desert.
And is that because of the monsoon rains we had?
Yes, in the summers here, you get some really significant rainfall. And that is why this chaparral type is a little different than the rest as you go further to the coast, because it does get that summer rain.
The desert chaparral seems fragile, though if you look closely, it's full of life. We have a lot of territory to cover, so we climb back up the grade and into the mountains to see a somewhat different chaparral landscape, the montane chaparral. Montane chaparral is a tapestry of dense shrubs, determined in part by its altitude and by geology. Nature knew her business when she created chaparral, how defenseless the mountains would be without this coat of protection. So this is the montane chaparral, huh?
Yes, it is.
Looks kind of like a blanket, doesn't it?
Yeah, very dense.
Rick, this is Mount Laguna? So how high do you think we are?
I think it's about 6,000 feet or so.
Can't wait to see this one.
Don't trip.
Thanks. So I'm seeing all this beautiful manzanita.
It's great. Very low, very dense.
Which manzanita is this?
This is Eastwood manzanita. It's a resprouter. And there's a burl that didn't resprout after the fire. It died, but these other ones did. Looks like they're about 25 years old or so. And they'll only get about this high, and it's mainly because of the wind and the snow and the pressure from the weather. So montane chaparral has sort of a physical type. Very dense, very low, and you can walk through it, but you've got to watch yourself.
It's really thick. Do you think we can walk through?
Maybe.
You're behind me, right? If I get stuck, you'll pull me out?
Go ahead.
I love the way it looks like a tapestry, Rick.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Here's another major plant in this community. This is ceanothus, and right next to it is kind of a manzanita look like, but if you look at the leaves, they're opposite. They're on both sides of the same part of the stem. So this is garrya, common name silk tassel bush.
It's really
So you got
pretty.
manzanita, ceanothus, garrya. These are the 3 of the 6 main chaparral shrubs right here together.
Well, let's see if we can find the other.
That sounds like an awesome idea.
Well, that's pretty. Look at the white bark and the little green leaves. What is that?
Yeah, this is mountain mahogany, and it's got these really cool little seeds that come off of here during the fall, and they glisten in the sun. They get little furry parts to them, and usually, oh, here's one right now. You see it?
Oh, yeah, so it'll like twirl when it goes.
Yeah. This could be a very large plant, but it's not going to be because of the weather up here.
So you think we're going to find an oak up here?
Maybe.
Well,
We'll take a look.
Okay.
Here's something really interesting.
Wow, look at these lichens. They're so bright green. I found my oaks.
This is the Elfin forest. So you found your oaks within an Elfin forest.
Yeah, I love it. You know, it's like a little oak woodland, but the oaks are only about 10 feet tall.
Well, that's why they called Chaparral an Elfin forest, because it is like a miniature little forest. And if you look around carefully, you might see one of the little elves actually dancing around.
I'd welcome an elf about right now because, you know, that's like calm and peaceful, and I was ready for a little bit of a break. So how about we just sit here and like do some deep yoga breathing and meditation just for a few minutes before we head out and look at other things?
I'll look for an elf.
Okay, I'll close my eyes. Wow, look how beautiful this manzanita is.
Yeah, it's starting to begin to look like one of those old growth legacy manzanitas.
Rick, this is just, it's so beautiful here, and it's so green and lush looking. You know, on the way here, we passed that area that had burned. It's the same kind of chaparral, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are afraid of chaparral because they're afraid of the whole fire issue. We have natural fires and we have human-made fires. What's the difference?
Well, most all the fires now are human caused, and that's the problem. There's too many fires on this landscape, and most people have the misconception that chaparral needs to burn to remain healthy. Whenever fires come through, it's a good thing. Well, it might have been 300-400 years ago, but now there's so many fires that a lot of these landscapes that are covered with chaparral are actually being type converted to weed lots. So it's important to maintain the fire suppression patterns to try to protect, you know, homes and communities first, of course, but the natural environment itself is really suffering from an excess of fire.
So when I hear people say, oh, we should clear the chaparral or we should clear all the brush, I hate that term brush,
Yes.
right? What they're really doing is making the situation worse.
Well, they need to focus in terms of fire safety on the home, start from the home and work out. But in the wildland like this, we just need to leave it alone and realize that it's a very fragile environment. And in fact, some of this older chaparral is just some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. In fact, some chaparral plants require 40 to 50 to 60 years of leaf litter to properly germinate their seeds. And just when some folks are saying, well, this chaparral stand is too old, it's just beginning the next cycle of its development.
Chaparral older than 50 years is considered old growth, and it's increasingly rare. Left undisturbed, a manzanita stand can grow 150 years or more. These kinds of shrublands are some of our most valuable native habitats. And where are we now?
We're in the Descanso district of the Cleveland National Forest. This right here is sort of an interface. You have western sagebrush, and this is sort of a common shrub east of the mountains, but the one we're interested in is over here.
Okay. So this is what we came to see?
Yes, the red shakes.
Beautiful. This is huge.
Well, it's got pretty big trunks. These are a century or more old, and there's some remnants of the old flowers. They're all kind of amber now, which
Yeah,
I
I can
love
see
the
that.
color of. And one characteristic of these plants that really sticks out is the shaggy bark.
Yeah.
And it's characteristic of the other species, chamise, which is in the same genus. So this is different than montane because you can walk through it and canopies overhead, right? Not so much scratching your legs. Watch your eyes.
Rick, are there animals that are coming through here very often?
Well, deer come through here and coyotes. And as we know, the great California grizzly bear, if you can imagine walking through here.
Yeah, he hasn't been here in a while.
No. The last one was killed in 1908. In Southern California, anyway.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm very impressed. You've become quite the chaparralian.
I wear that badge proudly. Now that's a big red shanks. Sheesh.
4 or 5 trunks.
Yeah, that's a really big one.
So this is a resprouter.
What do you mean?
This may have resprouted after the last fire 125, 50 years ago.
I love this.
Yeah, it's like those muskoxes in Siberia, you know, the shaggy manes.
You mean the long beards?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Wow, look at that. We're looking at the watershed, aren't we?
The watershed, it's an essential part of the ecosystem health here. Because of the chaparral and the cover it gives the landscape, it prevents massive amounts of erosion.
So when we say watershed, that means that rainfall that falls on these shrubs, the shrubs help hold it here.
Well, it sort of sheds off the shrubs quietly and gently. then gets into the ground, gets into the water table, instead of all going to the ocean.
Yeah, and if there's no shrubs, then it just hits the ground and runs.
Exactly, and that's why actually the Southern California National Forests were established for watershed. And they had local support too, unlike most of the other national forests that are established. So they weren't established for timber, they were established to protect the watershed.
And that's important for all of us.
Yes, so these should be national chaparral watershed recreation areas instead of national forests, right? Because that's what they are.
That's what they are. Pretty cool, huh?
Yep.
Think it's a wood rat?
Wood rat nest for sure.
How many wood rats do you think are in
It's
there?
just a family, and the females run the roost, so she's definitely in there.
Think so?
Yes.
What do you mean one's a roost?
Well, she's in charge, and when the offspring are born, she kicks the males out, and they kind of roam the chaparral with nasty attitudes for obvious reasons.
You know, we have seen lots of plants, but we really haven't seen, except for some birds, we haven't seen many animals.
Yeah, well, nighttime's the time for these critters and most other animals too. It's safer.
So if we want to see animals really during the day, all we can see is kind of evidence of animals.
They're signs, exactly.
We leave the red shank chaparral and head towards the coast, with a stop in Santee to check out the coastal sage scrub. Coastal sage scrub is sometimes called soft chaparral, but really it's a totally different habitat. It's dominated by perennials like salvias and sagebrush and monkey flowers. It's also the most endangered habitat in San Diego County. I get the feeling we're not in the chaparral anymore, Rick.
No, we are not. This is California sage scrub.
And where are we?
Well, we're in Santee, and this whole area used to be all California sage scrub.
Well, and there's a little bit of coastal sage scrub. This is the California sagebrush, right?
Right. And buckwheat, laurel sumac here behind us, and there's a large number of sages, white sage, some black sage probably, and there's a redberry over there, which is the food plant for the Hermes copper.
So how is this different from chaparral?
Well, a lot of people compare this to chaparral, but it's nothing like chaparral, only it has shrubs. So all the shrubs through here are what we call subshrubs, and they're not
small shrubs.
Yes, and they're not woody. I kind of think of it like if you can walk through it and you come back smelling very aromatic, it's California
sage.
sage scrub, right?
Yeah, right.
And if you walk through it and you come back bleeding, it's chaparral. I mean, that's really the distinction.
Oh yeah, that's why I was bleeding. Okay,
Right.
I get it. But this is really spotty, right? So this stuff has been removed or burned or what?
It's just slowly retreating from the land use or abuse, however you want to characterize it, which is tough for the little California gnatcatcher, which is an endangered species, which is one of the only reasons this area has not been developed.
It's because of the gnatcatcher?
Yes, and it's got such sparse habitat now.
Is that what we just saw?
Maybe. I've heard him a few times already, but it's a wonderful little bird. And you know, folks don't understand, well, who cares about this bird, right? But it's an indication of the health of a habitat, and healthy habitats are fun, important, interesting things to protect and preserve. So.
And part of our watershed.
Yes, and part of the watershed, exactly.
In San Diego County, 75% of the human population, that's more than 2 million people, live within 10 miles of the coast. Over time, the pressures from humans and from development has had a disastrous effect on the maritime chaparral that once blanketed our coasts and our coastal hills. Torrey Pine State Natural Reserve is one of the last undisturbed expanses of maritime chaparral. Oh, look, it's a baby Torrey. So pretty.
Yeah, they are.
Rick, when I look out here and I see this kind of rolling tapestry, it just reminds me of the rolling waves.
Well, it's matching. And if you look at these shrubs, like this one here is completely rounded.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's a function of the climate and the wind and the spray and all of that. And it's very different what you saw in the inland.
This is amusing to me. I have a Torrey pine in my backyard that is huge.
Yeah, they get giant.
And these are really nice, but they're not that big. But that reminds me, why trees in a chaparral? I mean, we don't think of chaparrals having trees.
I mean, there's a couple relic species in chaparral. The Torrey's one of them. But for the most part, you just don't find trees in chaparral.
Well, I can see the ocean. Oh, and what's this?
Oh, this is Mission Manzanita. It's one of the characteristic shrubs here.
Right,
It's only
beautiful.
basically a coastal plant, but it's gorgeous. It's got these really wonderful red bark patterns. And the grizzly bear probably ate those berries when they were here. Oh, here's a scrub oak here. It's got some acorns in it. You don't see this very often, but the really tiny leaves, most people don't think of these things as oaks, but the acorns, really important food source for the animals here. And this is one of the characteristic species in Torrey pines.
So those little acorns are going to become baby oaks, or maybe they'll be baby oaks.
Yeah, maybe baby oaks. Oh, hey, look at this.
What do you got?
Well, these are oak galls. They're not acorns.
Yep.
And what they're caused by is a little wasp that will lay eggs in the stem. The plant reacts, swells up, makes this little ball, and the larvae live in there, and then they'll come out. A little hole will be drilled, and the little wasp will come out. But what's really interesting is these are little micro ecosystems. So there's insects that parasitize the wasp that makes the gall, and then there's other insects and creatures that'll go in there, and they're called inquilines, and they're the ones that live within the gall, just sort of hang out. It's a little ecosystem unto itself.
Very cool.
So we're descending into a tunnel,
Oh,
and some people call this an Elfin forest tunnel. I prefer the word or the phrase grizzly bear tunnel because grizzly bears were the dominant predator in the Chaparral, and the only way they got through it was to make tunnels like this. And they'd use the same tunnel generation after generation. So if this had been a grizzly bear trail, there'd be little potholes every couple inches or so where they put their claw in the same hole generation after generation.
Rick, let's talk about fire.
Well, the fire story here is very different than it is up in the mountains. There's just not any lightning here for the most part. So this chaparral stand could be centuries old. It's got some beautiful old growth material in here. And what's really special about that is that there's lichens on there that it can exist nowhere else. They need that old stick, that dead wood. And some folks will see a lot of this dead stick material and say, well, you got to get up here and clean it up. But that's a value from us. It's not a natural value in a sense. This is a remarkable example of old growth chaparral on the coast that just doesn't exist anymore because of development.
Oh my gosh, Rick, look at all those people.
People are good. So what's really fascinating about this place is it's accessible. It's got an old growth chaparral stand that really doesn't exist anywhere else in Southern California. And so the more people that are exposed to it, the better, because they get in touch with nature and they develop a sense of place, especially those who live here. And the more of that, the better, because you can't preserve, protect anything unless first people fall in love with it, and they can't fall in love with it unless they're able to get into it.
That's a really good point. Because this is called Torrey Pine State Park, everybody comes to see the trees, but really, this is a chaparral.
Well, this is one of the issues that had always bothered me. I mean, you have the national forest, right? You have Torrey pines, and so people come to see the pines and the trees. The national forests are primarily chaparral, and actually, Torrey pines is primarily chaparral too. So unless you get that identified up front, you kind of ignore it and look for the trees. And so chaparral suffers an identity crisis, essentially, even though it's an incredibly interesting, beautiful environment.
A lot of people ask me, why do you care? Why do we care?
Why do we care? Well, there's what you call ecosystem services. And most people see these green hills without any trees as sort of an amorphous kind of source of
Brush. It's
brush. Right, please.
I hate that. I know, I hate that term.
But it provides watershed so that the hills don't erode into the gutters. It provides tremendous important habitat for a lot of really beautiful, interesting animals. And for humans, in a more sensitive perspective, it provides a lot of fun, because once you have a sense of place, you really feel like you're at home.
And I have to say, this has been a wonderful day, you know, doing this trip with you.
Yeah, it has.
You
Great.
really have established a sense of place, and I really want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Where else can you visit Chaparral? One of the best places is the Elfin Forest Recreational Reserve in Escondido.
We give the opportunity for people to come, whether it is hike, bike, equestrians, to come and enjoy this native habitat that we have on showcase here. It's very rare to find this much native habitat in San Diego County, west of the 15, south of Camp Pendleton. It's a very special place.
Incredibly colorful and full of life. This is Chaparral. Chaparral is essential habitat and vital watershed. We've lost vast tracts of chaparral, mostly because we just didn't know what we had. Now it's time to look at this precious resource with fresh eyes and ensure that chaparral doesn't just survive, that it thrives. I'm Nan Sterman. Thanks for watching. A growing passion thanks KPBS Television for their ongoing support, along with these generous underwriters.